Hello friends! Welcome back to another Eternal Deck Tech and Matches video. We just had the newest set drop, and there is a lot of really interesting build arounds. Last week you might know that we did New Epoch all around the new Clockroach Legendary, and this time I've got another brew. I wouldn't say that this one's competitive either, but it's trying to just kind of test the limits, much like the last one was, see what we can do with some of the new cards, because a lot of them are really kind of like combo-oriented and very niche in different ways, and there's no difference in this week's because we've got Hasty Builders. So I've done something like this before. It's all around ultimate abilities, and this one's pretty wild. So our ultimate abilities are now fast, and then ultimate, pay 2 to shuffle a Void of your choice into its owner's deck. And I've made some similar things before, because obviously what we're going to do right away is go Merriest Mandrake, Mask of Torment, try and gain a bunch of life, draw a ton of cards, and go off with it. The thing is, there's been a lot of extra ultimates that have been added in the meantime, so there's some cool things that we get to do with it. We're going to try and jam basically as many ultimates as we can into this deck to try and see which ones are the best and which ones maybe need to be cut if we want to try and test out new waters. I've done a little bit of testing with this so far, and I'm going to go over some of the best things that you can do with this. So, you've got Veteran Strategist, Lifespeaker, Dreamsnatcher, all these things with ultimates, Miris, Nightshade, and then of course the Mandrake like we talked about. So whenever we ultimate, then they cost half as much, and we also gain 2 life and draw a card. The life gain is going to be really important because of Mask of Torment, which will both work to give us extra power, and also have an ultimate of its own. We've got Ayan the Abductor to help against an aggro deck, give us a bunch of lifesteal being kind of important. Lumen Attendant grabs back pieces that we might lose. Specifically, losing Merriest Mandrake is really bad, so we want to make sure that we have a way to get that back. I'm only including 2 of those because we do have the Hasty Builders, which can also shuffle our Void back, so we're kind of not trying to have too many Void interactions in case we run out of things. And then we've got Alhed and one of the new ultimates, which is Braun, Regal Courier, who's just insane. He's just really, really good stat-wise, 6-7, and obviously making an 8-8 is really nice, and it helps ramp you up to get to that 8-8 quick. We've got a little bit of interaction in Banish. I wanted to have at least a minimal amount of it. It's fairly low. One of the things that you'd probably want to do if you want to make this deck a little bit more competitive is look at which ones seem a little bit weaker for our ultimates, and then swap out to a bit more removal or some other card draw, to try and chain down to Merriest Mandrake, because Mandrake is so important for what we're trying to do here. And then we've got a couple of Seek powers to fix up our mana base, along with the Veteran Strategists, and some Cull the decks as well to just draw down to what we need. So, some cool things about Hasty Builder is all of your ultimate abilities are fast. I just want to reiterate that, because our opponents, so far in my testing, constantly forget it, and that's one of the fun things about this build, is that nobody thinks of Hasty Builder at all, and you can use Miris Nightshade at fast speed, so once you're in the middle of an attack or a block, to pump itself. On top of that, you can then do Nightfall on their turn, so you get the draw first, which is pretty great. One of the reasons why I wanted to try it with the Miris Nightshade, and it's not been incredible, but it has performed pretty well. I've liked Nightshade a lot in this deck, actually. We also have Alhed Mountbreaker, and same thing. You can pay 4 to just save one of your units. So if they try and target something important with removal, and you really need to keep it, it is card disadvantage. You've got to remember that. If you don't have a Merriest Mandrake out, you don't just immediately draw the card back, so you are putting yourself down a card, but you can blank a removal on something that's a key piece if you need to. And on top of that, it's also another combat trick that people just don't really realize. You'll be able to attack in, have your opponent do a couple blocks, and then just ultimate put something back on top of your deck and make it massive and eat their board alive. So many people seem to forget it. Hasty Builder is so new and so weird. There's never been an ability that interacts at fast speed. There's nothing, absolutely nothing in this game works like that. So Hasty Builder really breaks that rule, and with this being a dark horse that people don't know about, it's a lot of fun to play with. And so that's kind of what we're going to be doing here. Obviously, Alhed plus Merriest Mandrake also is another really cool little combo, in that there's the Inspire trigger on Alhed. So whenever you draw a unit, it doubles its health and strength, its attack and its health. Now, the cool thing about that is that if you have Merriest Mandrake, you immediately draw the card. So you get to put the card back on top, and then you're immediately drawing, so you can do some cool things with that. Also, same kind of thing with the Lumen Attendant and the Alhed. The thing to remember is that you can just draw back a unit, and of course Alhed will double it right away. So you want to try and use those when you can. So some cool things to do with this deck for sure. We're going to jump on in and try it, and I'm excited for the matches.